in the world behind 25-year-old Rory McIlroy, who is the number one ranked golfer in the world, and finished in the top. I want to say Rory was top 5 at the Masters this week. Top 10 for sure. I think it was top 5, like 12 under, something like that. But anyway, Rory is still the number one golfer in the world. Jordan Spieth moved up to number 2. Rory McIlroy is 25. Jordan Spieth is 21. This is the first time ever in the history of golf, unless I am wrong on this, which I'm pretty dang sure I'm not. And feel free to let me know. Correct me if I am. But this is the first time ever that the number 1 and number 2, the top 2 ranked golfers in the entire world, are under the age of 25 or younger. I shouldn't say under the age of 25 because technically that would be 24, but 25 or younger. First time that has ever happened. Now, to me, this could not have come at a better time, and this could not be a better thing. Like, this is awesome for professional golf. Golf has been struggling to get attention, to be back on the forefront, to have stars that the public cares about and is interested in. Ever since Tiger Woods ran into that fire hydrant and got his windshield busted up and fell from grace. Ever since Tiger's fall from grace, the PGA has desperately been wanting the new wave of stars to come and carry the torch, enter the next era of the PGA. And to have a guy who's tying the all-time records at the Masters and only his second time there at 21, 2 years on the tour, and he's the number 2 ranked golfer in the world at 21 years old, and the only guy he's chasing is a 25-year-old who I want to say has won like 2 or 3 majors. Pretty sure the only one Rory hasn't won is Augusta. I want to say he's got a British Open victory, a U.S. Open victory, and a PGA Championship victory. And he's only 25. So that's great. You could have this potentially. You get this Magic versus Bird type of thing, where you've got these all-time great, elite in their prime athletes and competitors that are able to go up against each other and give us these historic, epic moments. That's the one thing I felt through most of Tiger's career that we'd never really had, because he was so dominant and so head and shoulders talent-wise above everyone else out there for a long period of time, was we just got to watch one man dominate, similar to Michael Jordan. That's entertaining and great for the sport too, but I don't think golf needs the next Tiger Woods. I think golf needs the next thing after Tiger Woods. And I'm hoping that it is a 10 to 15 year rivalry of historic proportions between Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy, giving us some of the best golf that we've possibly ever seen. That's what I hope to get over the next 10, 15 years from these two guys. It's not to say we're gonna. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but it's possible. All the numbers, all the data supports that this is very much possible. Not likely, but very possible. And that is a great thing for golf. Golf needs that to get back to the level of attention and get in the public eye the way that it was before Tiger, like I said, went and fell from grace. But I need to stop talking about golf. Like I said, I love golf. I love everything about it. I could talk about it for forever. But I got other things to get to. You got other things you want to hear about. And so let's wrap up with our golf coverage, put out balls on fire, and move on. But I hope you enjoyed and watched what at least they televise of the Masters this last weekend. And if you at all like golf as any kind of fan, tune in, watch the golf that's on TV on the weekends. There's so many good young players and good vets out there playing great golf. Check it out. Give it a chance. I am confident you will not be disappointed. All right. Well, next on the topic list here, we got some NHL playoff hockey. The NHL hockey playoffs start tonight and tomorrow night are the first round games. The first of the first round games. And tonight in the two Western Conference games, we've got the Nashville Predators hosting the Chicago Blackhawks. Everything I've looked at while previewing the playoffs has the Blackhawks as a slight favorite, even though they're the 3 seed to Nashville's 2. Patrick Kane is back approximately 6 weeks earlier than he was expected to be here. Not quite sure how much he'll be able to be used or how effective he will be, but just having him involved in the game plan and the lineup at all definitely gives them an advantage. It helps. You got to pay attention to the guy anytime he's healthy enough to be on the ice. Now, for the Nashville Predators, they were the best team in the entire Western Conference for the first 2/3 of the season, maybe 3/4. But then they hit a little bit of a snide after the All-Star break towards the end of the season. They did turn it around within the last few weeks before the season ended. But they do have plenty of question marks regarding their abilities to advance in the playoffs and be much of a threat. And then to draw a first-round matchup like the Chicago Blackhawks, that's very tough. So I personally have Chicago winning this series. And, boy, what did I pick? I think it was... Yeah, I picked the Blackhawks in 6. Wouldn't surprise me if they did it in 5 or 7. It doesn't matter how many games it takes. The only time that's really significant is if it's a sweep or a toss-up on a Game 7. Otherwise, we get a pretty definitive winner, and that's all that matters. But that series starts tonight, and I am picking the Blackhawks to win it. In the other Western Conference game tonight, we've got the number 2 seed Vancouver versus the number 3 seed Calgary. Now, I'm pretty sure I picked the Flames in this one, mainly because I don't know much about either team. And I wanted to pick at least 1 or 2 lower seeds, But no, I want to say that the line on this series is pretty close to a 50-50. Again, some of these ones, the lower seeds actually are favored to win the series on as far as the Vegas official betting lines are concerned. One such example of that would be the Anaheim Ducks versus the Winnipeg Jets series, which starts tomorrow night. Now, the Anaheim Ducks are the number 1 seed, and the Winnipeg Jets were the final wild card to get in. And they are like a 50.3% favorite to win the series over the number 1 seed Anaheim Ducks. I don't get that at all. But anyway, I'm not going that route. I'm picking Anaheim to win that series that starts tomorrow night. Like I said, I'm going with the Calgary Flames for just out of sheer guessing to beat Vancouver. And that series starts tonight. Vancouver hosts. The final Western Conference matchup that starts tomorrow night that I will be most watching, obviously as someone who lives in Minnesota, will be the number 1 seed St. Louis Blues versus our number 4 seed Minnesota Wild. Now, in regards again to the Vegas gambling odds, the line on these events, what have you, the Wild are, I want to say, the 3rd favorite team in all of hockey to win the Lord Stanley's Cup, this year, which to me is crazy for a wild card that's playing one of the top 2 teams on that list as well in the first round. Now, Seattle, geez Louise, the St. Louis Blues have not had much recent success in the playoffs as of late as a franchise. They also have kind of a goalie by committee thing going on down there. However, they are very tough. They're physical, strong. They got good offense. They can score the puck. So they are a very formidable team and are one of, like I said, they're one of the 4 number 1 seeds in the whole playoffs. A lot of people have them favored to win it all, and honestly, that's who I have picked to win it all. I would love to pick the Wild. I'd love to see the Wild win, and they could. The Wild could very easily, well, I shouldn't say very easily, but the Wild could very possibly win this opening series against the St. Louis Blues, and if they do that, they can beat anybody, at least on the western side yet. If they run into the Montreal Canadiens or something in the finals, or the Rangers, I don't know if they could beat the Rangers or the Canadiens in a 7-game series in the finals, but I definitely feel they could beat anybody in the West and get to the finals if they can get past St. Louis. St. Louis is a very, very good, tough team. So, in all reality, the Blues-Wild series is a toss-up. It's a coin flip. It's a 50-50. I am going to pick the Blues, in part because they had the better regular season, but mainly so that I don't jinx the Minnesota Wild by picking them. That's the main thinking there. So Minnesota fans, don't yell at me for not picking the Wild. I'm doing that for the Wild. I'm not picking them for their own good. It's better for them for me to not pick them than it is for me to pick them. If I pick them, it's more likely that I will jinx them. So that's the thinking there. I love the Wild. Go Wild. But anyway, that's what the Western Conference playoffs for the NHL is set up like. Now, over in the East, tonight we've got the number 1 seed Montreal Canadiens going up against the 4 seed Ottawa Senators. Canadiens have looked pretty strong all year. My personal hockey expert source picked the Canadiens to be in the finals weeks ago, months ago, and he has not changed that pick yet, so I am trusting him. However, I do know that the New York Rangers will also be very tough over in the East. The Lundqvist, their goalie, is great. They've got a really great team this year. They are going up against a somewhat hot Pittsburgh Penguins team in the opening round, who got a roll going and squeaked their way into the playoffs, beating out the Bruins for their final spot. But I just don't think that the momentum that the Pittsburgh Penguins has right now is going to be enough to overcome the Rangers, who are superior at goalie and pretty much all across the ice. So I definitely think the Rangers win that one. Again, I think the Canadiens beat the Senators, and that series starts tonight. But you never know. Upsets happen in the hockey playoffs quite a bit too, so don't be surprised if the Senators beat Montreal. It's very possible, but not based off of all the information I've gotten. Don't expect it. The other Eastern Conference series that starts tonight is the 2 seed Washington Capitals versus the 3 seed New York Islanders. That should be a pretty fun, interesting, competitive game. I mean, you got the Caps versus the Islanders, pretty close proximity there geographically. Should have some good animosity, rivalry type of stuff going there. And the Capitals, of course, got Ovechkin, who's the number 1 goal scorer again, and is just a phenomenal Hall of Famer eventually when he's done playing hockey player who's still in his prime. I think the Capitals are going to be too much for the Islanders. Islanders are a good, solid team, but I just don't think they're going to be able to get past the talent that the Caps have, so I'm picking the Caps in that series. And then the final Eastern Conference series that starts tomorrow night would be the Tampa Bay Lightning, the 2 seed hosting the 3 seed Detroit Red Wings. Pretty sure the Red Wings got goalie issues. It's not been a typical Red Wings year. I got Tampa Bay all the way in that one. Their goalie's like 6'7" or something. He's just a monster. Can take out the whole net. Tampa Bay is a somewhat popular sleeper pick that I've heard from quite a few people. I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but I definitely see them beating the Red Wings, getting out of the first round. So, I mean, to me, other than, maybe the Blackhawks at 3 and Calgary at 3, I see mostly 1 and 2. I see mostly the favorites, the bigger seeds, advancing to the final rounds. For the record, I do have St. Louis over the Ducks. I want to say I got all 4 1 seeds in the conference championships. I got St. Louis over the Ducks, and then I got